So first of all, my opinion about what I think about the situation. So obviously, when the Taliban came, everyone thought that they would not do this again because that's what they've done in the 90s. And it was just atrocious what happened to women back then. So everyone thought, okay, this time it's going to be different, right? And that's what they told everyone. They were like, no, 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 women just can go to school, nothing's going to happen. And then you see slowly that these rulings are coming out and they keep restricting their rights. So in my opinion, obviously that's the most extreme way to go, which will accomplish nothing but to, we will raise a generation of people who just don't know anything but to follow directions, right? To follow their directions. So if you have smart women in the house, educated women, they will raise smart, educated children, and they will improve the country. But what's happening now is you take that power away from the women, then you have a generation of people who will just follow whatever the supreme leader will say. And I don't think that's the right way. No one thinks that's the right way. So in terms of other people who support the Taliban, so obviously there are people who support Taliban this time around. The reason is because this time around when the Taliban came, they actually surprised everyone. Everyone thought they will come in and just murder everyone. They didn't do that. They came in without basically a single shot. People just said, okay, you know what, we're just sick of 40 years of war. We don't want to fight, so here, you can have. Basically, what happened was America gave them the power back. They gave them a red carpet, like, come in and take it, right? So the Afghans were like, okay, if they beat America and the whole world, how can we fight them? So instead of fighting them, okay, we'll see, hopefully they've changed. So a lot of people kind of supported them in the beginning because they did brought peace. So if you look at the situation now compared to before they took over, it's peaceful now. You can travel everywhere. But obviously, with that, they also brought a lot of restrictions, especially for women. If you're a woman, it's not improved at all. It's probably became worse. But in general, they set a spear where it's possible to progress for Afghanistan. But if they just focus on things that doesn't matter, on the religious things that it should be a personal issue, I believe that it's just going to continue like this, and then eventually people will just rise up against them and kick them out. So in terms of people supporting them, there are some people, I know some friends, they're like, oh, look what they're doing, there's peace now, they haven't killed people off, and they're honest. That's another thing, is that because they're so religious, they don't take bribes, so they have the foundation of making the country work, but they need to be smart about it. They need to involve people with other perspectives and not just follow their own perspective. They need to involve women. If you don't involve women, what's going to happen? It's just going to be a cycle of getting poorer and poorer and creating more extremists, and eventually it will lead to nothing, basically. Yeah. It's going to just make things worse and worse. It's not going to become any better if you do that. So a lot of Afghans know that. It's like, so you mentioned about the support, but I also have to mention that the last couple of weeks there's been so much debate and just against this decision, right? Everyone from Taliban themselves. So like I mentioned, the supreme leader made that decision, but doesn't mean the rest just agrees with it. So even within Taliban, some people are like, no, this is unacceptable. And Afghans in general themselves, I don't know anyone who says, oh, this is a good decision. It's just ridiculous. And the thing is, one good thing now is the technology has advanced. Obviously, everyone has mobile phones, everyone has internet, so people can have that debate. Even now, my dad is listening to this, watching these videos of people actually going to Taliban and having those debates, whereas before that wasn't even possible. Before, if you disagreed with anything, you would be dead. So that's why there is a little bit hope that maybe they will reconsider and just listen to people as opposed to just doing whatever they feel like doing. Yeah, so first of all, about what I think, obviously it's the most terrible decision that they have taken in the last year probably, because it's it's just heartbreaking for women who have spent so many years hoping for a future, hoping to support their families, and some of them look, some of them might not have even have a husband. Maybe the husband is killed. Maybe they don't have a boy in their family, so they have no choice but to work. So especially for them, it's an impossible situation. Um, and also, second of all, Afghan women are very respectable women. So they're hardworking, smart. They look after their families. It's not like if they're allowed to work, they're going to do crazy stuff. So I just don't understand the
Yes.
reason for this decision. They just want to have a good future for themselves and their families. That's all they want. And now it looks like that chance has been taken away from them. Um, as for whether the Taliban will prohibit all girls to go to school, I don't think so. And the reason is because I think, so this is the reasoning they gave from banning girls from higher education, right? So their reason is that these girls will go to campus and they'll be away from their father, away from their brother, and they might do things that are not according to Islam. That's the reason. Obviously, for younger girls, it will not apply. For older girls, it will apply. And that whole reason doesn't make any sense because not all the girls will go to a campus. And if they do, why don't you deal with that situation by themselves?
In the
What
campus,
about
yes. In the
someone who
campus.
studies from home, someone who, studies in their own city? So if that is the reason why they did it, probably it will not change. But then again, it's full of surprises. You don't know what they're going to
Exactly.
decide.
No.
Hopefully not, because that would be just, then you would have kids who don't even know how to count, which is
Uh-huh.
ridiculous. Like I said, a lot of
Vicious circle.
all Afghans that I know, no one understands this decision. So,
Uh-huh.
and no one obviously in their right mind. A lot of Talibans themselves, their daughters, they go to a school in Qatar, they go to a school in Pakistan. So it's a bit hypocrite to just,
Absolutely.
it's
Yes.
so seeing all this resistance on social media, on the news, from the Afghans, from other Islamic world, hopefully they will reconsider. Hopefully they will say, okay, you know what, maybe we will, maybe it was a wrong decision. But then again, it's the supreme leader. I think is a stubborn man. So I don't know.
Mm.
We'll see how it goes.
You're right there. And what do you think it can be done here to stop Taliban to going further? I'm especially concerned about women.
Yeah.
So especially in that topic, what can be done here to stop them?
So I think the best way is to obviously they base it on Islam, right? And a lot of other Islamic countries have come forward and said, no, this is not the interpretation of Islam. The best way, in my opinion, is to put pressure through Islamic countries. So a lot of Afghans think that Pakistan has a major role in how Taliban runs everything,
Uh-huh.
which I don't know. Might be true, might not be true. Who knows, right? But historically, especially the last time, Pakistan had a big control about Taliban. So basically, they effectively ran the country through Taliban. That's how it is. And obviously, if you want to control a country, you just want to put a tight lid on the culture, make sure there's no uprising. This time, I don't know. Some people say they've changed, they're independent. But I guess if you could put pressure through Pakistan, Qatar, Russia, China, that's the
Uh-huh.
people who Taliban listens to. They're not going to listen to Europe because
No,
they fought
on
them,
US.
or US, they fought them.
No.
The only country might be a handful: Pakistan, Turkey, Russia, China, Qatar. That's it. I think those countries, they have an influence on Taliban and they could guide them towards the right way. Saudi Arabia and Qatar are also very traditional countries, but they are changing towards more freedom for women, not the other way. And it looks like we're going backwards a couple of 100 years. Yeah, like I mentioned before, I don't believe there's no hope.
Mm-hmm.
I believe if you can do something about it, then there's always hope. And I
Yes.
think, and the good thing what I see today is the reaction of Afghans at the moment. So beforehand, Afghanistan, after the civil war, it was kind of like a lost hope. So when the Taliban came in back then, they could just rule with the iron fist. But now people have become educated. There's a lot more people in Afghanistan. So And a lot of them are against this, obviously, most of them, I would say. So that's why there is hope that the pressure from people will eventually make the government adjust their course. Also the pressure within the Taliban, people don't know, but within the Taliban there's the moderate group, slightly moderate, and very fundamentalist. So even within them, if they can kind of reach some kind of consensus, hopefully it's gonna work for the better.